What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the channel. So yesterday, the Packers released the official depth chart for the 2023 season. So in today's video, I want to give my thoughts and reactions for this initial depth chart going into week one, where the Packers are heading to Chicago this Sunday to take on the Bears. And I am beyond excited for this game. We finally get to see in action this Packers football team we've been watching all training camp, all offseason, and more importantly, Jordan Love, his first start as the Packers' #1 quarterback. I have very, very high hopes for this football team. Although it is the youngest team in the NFL and there's definitely going to be some learning curve, I do think this team is very talented and could surprise a lot of people. Overall, I'm just excited to see all these new players finally throw on the cleats and go into a full game against a full defense. Jaden Reed, Luke Musgrave, the defensive rookies such as Lucas Van Ness, Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden. There's just so many guys on this team that I just can't wait to see suited up this Sunday. Also, I will be live streaming during this game Sunday my play-by-play reaction. So if you want to come hang out, definitely come to the live stream this Sunday. But before we get into today's video, I want to give a big shout out to Manscaped for sponsoring this. Football season is officially back, and you know what that means. Touchdown dances, Sunday tailgates, and epic fantasy showdowns. But fellas, let's not forget about the MVP of the season, introducing the all-new Manscaped Beard Hedger Pro Kit, your ultimate luxury beard grooming experience. This kit is your secret weapon to staying sharp on and off the field. So don't fumble this opportunity. Head to manscaped.com to elevate your grooming game with the Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Join the 9 million men worldwide. You heard that right, 9 million men, or just over 110 Lambeau Fields. So go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping using code BASS20. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit is a grooming powerhouse built for precision and style, just like Jordan Love. This kit tackles beard touch-ups effortlessly, ensuring you're always prepped for the next play. Plus, it has a compact design for easy portability. This cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. So no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. That's right, face grooming doesn't need to be hard. Get 20 different beard lengths with just one guard. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit is your go-to teammate to maintaining a sharp and polished beard. Get 20% off plus free shipping using code BASS20. That's right, 20% off your entire order at manscaped.com plus free shipping with my promo code BASS20. Your grass is not artificial. Keep it shaved with Manscaped. All right, so now let's dive into the first official depth chart for the Green Bay Packers going into this 2023 season. So we see quarterback and running back at the bottom here. Nothing crazy here. There's no surprises here. There's not many surprises on this depth chart. There are a few I definitely want to go over, but we see quarterback Jordan Love, Sean Clifford, #2. Obviously, Jordan Love is the starting quarterback and will be for the foreseeable future. As for running back, Aaron Jones is always that first running back. A.J. Dillon is the second, and then we see Emmanuel Wilson as the third. And I was actually wondering if Emmanuel Wilson was going to be cut after the first couple days after a 53-man roster, just like we saw Tariq Carpenter and John Ford. That can definitely happen where an undrafted free agent makes the roster, and then they have to cut him in like 2 days to get someone else on the roster. But that didn't happen. Emmanuel Wilson is running back 3 going into this season. We'll see if he's active this Sunday. All right, so now let's go over wide receivers and tight ends. The way the Packers line this up is they have 3 separate wide receivers, so 2 outside, 1 slot, and then, of course, 1 set of tight ends here. So we have Jaden Reed as the slot wide receiver and Samori Toure as the backup slot. This is exactly how I saw it going down. Jaden Reed is that #1 slot wide receiver. He's been playing, I think, 90% of snaps out of the slot this whole preseason, and he's been that guy. I'm so excited to see Jaden Reed in this offense. I think he's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of receptions this year, and will be a safety blanket for Jordan Love over the middle. I've been very hype on him since the Packers drafted him, and I did my research on him, watched my tape on him. He's one of these players that I think could blow up onto the scene early for the Green Bay Packers. Then we have Samori Toure, a backup slot guy. I'm very high on him. He didn't have that great of camp / preseason, really just didn't get that many targets. Obviously, Malik Heath stole the scene with all the targets and making the team as an undrafted free agent, but Samori Toure still offers a lot. He is their backup slot guy. He's really their only true backup slot guy. All the other receivers, some of them can play slot, but Toure is your true backup slot guy. So if Jaden Reed needs a breather or gets hurt for a couple of plays, Samori Toure can definitely fill that role as well. We have to go up to the top here to see the other wide receivers. We have Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs as wide receiver #1 and wide receiver #2. More importantly, Malik Heath is backing up Christian Watson. So that would technically mean he's the next man up. And then we see Tay Wicks backing up Romeo Doubs. So we don't know Romeo Doubs' status for this upcoming Sunday. I believe the first injury report is out today, so be on the lookout for that on my channel. But if Romeo Doubs can't go, I think that means Malik Heath would step into his spot, even though we see Tay Wicks right behind him. Tay Wicks is also kind of going through a injury right now as well. So there's definitely a chance that Malik Heath could be a starting wide receiver week 1 of the NFL season, which would be insane. But if there's anyone that deserves it that's an undrafted free agent, it's definitely him. He got an awesome preseason, awesome training camp. We'll see what happens with Doubs and Wicks, but this depth chart makes sense. All the wide receivers are exactly where I thought they'd be, and it makes sense. As for the tight end, we see Luke Musgrave, Josiah DeGuara, Tucker Kraft, and Ben Sims. So Matt LaFleur just continues to not put DeGuara as a fullback spot on a depth chart. I don't know why, because that's where he's going to play. He's going to be that H-back role. That's what DeGuara is. Yes, we can play him at some tight end, in line, move him around a bit. But when we come out in I formation or strong or close or something of that sort, it's going to be DeGuara at that fullback position. So, I just don't know why they don't add a fullback spot on this depth chart. But I guess they want to keep him as a tight end on the depth chart. Then we see Tucker Kraft as the third guy, kind of been going through that transition. It makes sense. It's a big jump, especially coming from South Dakota State to the NFL. So it might take a little bit to really see Tucker Kraft start to be used a lot. Then we see Ben Sims as the fourth guy or third tight end if you consider DeGuara a fullback here. Now going over the offensive line, first we'll go over the starters. Bakhtiari at left tackle, Elton Jenkins at left guard, Josh Myers at center, John Runyon at right guard, Zach Tom at right tackle. No surprises there. That's kind of the way it looked early offseason. Yes, Josh Nijman and Tom were kind of rotating, but Tom clearly won that job, and Tom deserves to be on the starting 5 of this offensive line. As for the backups, we have Josh Nijman backup left tackle, Sean Ryan backup left guard, John Runyon backup center, Royce Newman backup right guard, Rasheed Walker backup right tackle, and Caleb Jones the third right tackle. So interestingly enough, we have Josh Nijman at backup left tackle and Rasheed Walker at backup right tackle, whereas Rasheed kind of played mainly left tackle this preseason, started 2 games at left tackle with the ones. So kind of interesting they have him at right tackle here. I think that's kind of just for now, but he very well could be the future at left tackle for the Green Bay Packers. But Josh Nijman has more experience there, like he's played in real games, so it makes sense for him to be the second team left tackle here. Sean Ryan and Royce Newman, the backup guards. That's kind of the way it's been all training camp. John Runyon being the backup center here is definitely interesting. I was kind of wondering if they'd put Tom as the backup center here, but I guess it makes sense. John Runyon would slide to center, and I think Royce Newman would come in a case where Josh Myers is playing bad or gets hurt. Honestly, I think it would be better if Tom slid to center and Rasheed Walker or Josh Nijman came in at right tackle. Now flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, we'll start with the defensive line. We see Kenny Clark as a defensive end. For a while on depth charts, he was kind of listed as the nose tackle. He's much better in this spot, so I'm glad the Packers have like a full-time nose tackle now, and TJ Slayton allowing Kenny Clark to kind of do what he does best. So we have Kenny Clark there, backup being Colby Wooden. Nose tackle is TJ Slayton, with a backup being Carl Brooks. I was kind of wondering who they put the backup nose tackle to be, considering that defensive line room is so thin. Then we see Devontae Wyatt on the other side, with the backup again being Carl Brooks. So Carl Brooks is slightly heavier than Colby Wooden, so I guess that makes sense. If TJ Slayton went down, maybe they'll put Carl Brooks at nose tackle. Honestly, I think they might just slide Kenny Clark in, and Colby Wooden would come in at defensive end. But Carl Brooks shows a lot of versatility. He's been great all preseason camp, one of my draft steals, and I think he's going to contribute a lot to this Packers team, even year 1, and that's awesome as a 6th round pick. But Colby Wooden isn't anyone to overlook as well, also versatile, 4th round draft pick out of Auburn. He's had a pretty good camp as well. Now going over the linebackers, we'll start with edge. We have Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary. So the first depth chart has Rashawn Gary starting. So this doesn't really equate, if they'll be ready week 1, because obviously Romeo Doubs is starting. We see Rashawn Gary here. But if he's ready to go, he's starting obviously at edge. Now, what that snap count will be, we'll have to see if he even plays in this Bears game. Maybe they only play him on passing downs, 2nd and long or 3rd downs only. We'll see what happens Sunday, but I do believe he will get some snaps Sunday, and I'm so hyped for that. The backups, we have Lucas Van Ness and Kingsley Enagbari. I'm kind of shocked to not see Justin Hollins opposite here. I want Lucas Van Ness, don't get me wrong. I want this guy to get snaps, but usually the Packers are so in their ways about playing their veterans, but that is different this year. They're the youngest team in the NFL, and it seems like they're ready to play the young talent and get them the snaps they need to develop. And JJ Enagbari had an awesome preseason, really stepped up to the plate after Gary went down last year. And then we see the third, we have Justin Hollins and Brenton Cox Jr. This edge room is loaded. We have 6 guys that I'm comfortable with, like any of them potentially starting if they needed to. Like Brenton Cox Jr. showed so much as an undrafted free agent. The dude should have been a second or third round pick, and teams are going to be regretting not drafting this guy for some off-field issues. Then Justin Hollins, solid veteran. I know a lot of people don't like him, and some people were wondering why he made the team. It's because he offers that veteran presence. He's good against the run. He's in the right place at the right time, and the Packers kind of need some veterans on this football team, so Justin Hollins here makes sense. Going over the inside linebackers, Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker. We'll see if Devondre ends up playing against the Bears. I believe he started practicing last week, so it looks like he very well could play against the Bears, but his backup is Isaiah McDuffie, and I thought he filled in nicely when Campbell was out, and I wouldn't be too worried if it was McDuffie. Obviously, I want Devondre Campbell. I think he's going to have a bounce back year from last year's average year after that amazing 2021 performance, but I wouldn't be too worried, missing Campbell for 1 week against the Bears if McDuffie had to fill in. Then we have Eric Wilson as the backup to Quay Walker, mainly a special teamer, but he can step on defense if needed. Now going to the cornerback, it's weird how on the offense they have 3 wide receiver positions, including a slot, but they don't do that for cornerback here. So I guess they're just kind of showing their 3-4 base defense in the depth chart. We have Jair and Rasul. Keyshawn Nixon is that slot cornerback, and Carrington Valentine's. The Packers just continue with 4 cornerbacks going into the season. Who knows if that'll change before Sunday? I don't think it will. I think they're okay going into the season, at least week 1, with 4 cornerbacks because someone like Anthony Johnson Jr. could play there in a pinch. So Jair and Rasul on the outside, no surprise there. Nixon in the slot, we'll see how that goes, and Valentine as the 4th guy. If Nixon starts to struggle heavily or one of these, Rasul or Alexander, gets hurt, Carrington Valentine is the next man up. They played him somewhat in the slot in that final preseason game, just kind of seeing where he could fit in. And like I said, if Nixon's struggling and they want Valentine on the field, maybe Jair moves into the slot or something of that sort. We'll see what happens, and going into week 4 and after, if Eric Stokes does indeed come back. The final 2 spots on defense we have is safety, and that's Darnell Savage and Rudy Ford. Kind of been the starters all offseason. Then we had Tarvarius Moore and John Owens. They decided to cut Tarvarius Moore, keep John Owens. But interestingly enough, we have Anthony Johnson Jr. as the backup to Rudy Ford. So I kind of thought maybe he'd be a 3rd safety this season because I thought they would keep Owens and Moore. But they got rid of Moore, I guess, figuring, hey, we got Anthony Johnson Jr., we drafted him, he has a lot of potential. Let's give him the snaps over someone like Tarvarius Moore, which I 100% agree with. I'm super high on Anthony Johnson Jr. I think he could be a good safety in this defense, a down low run support type of safety, kind of like that Adrian Amos type of role. So I'm glad to see him number 2 here, and I think he could see snaps this season, as early as midway through the season, start seeing snaps, especially if, Ford or Savage struggle or one of them get hurt. Then we have John Owens there, and then the 3rd safety is just 2 special teamers, Dallin Levitt, Zane Anderson. Hopefully they don't have to see the field on defense. Then quickly going over special teams, Anders Carlson at kicker, Daniel Whelan at punter and holder. Then punt return and kick return, we have Keyshawn Nixon. I thought Jaden Reed would take snaps at punt return first, but it looks like Nixon is the number 1 on both. But we may see some Jaden Reed at punt return. Now, obviously, Nixon should be the kick return no matter what. We see Jaden Reed as a backup for both. I think we could see some Jaden Reed at punt return because the Packers could be gassed when the opposing offense is punting to them. So if Keyshawn Nixon's playing slot that whole time and is gassed, Jaden Reed can go back there and return punts. And the same goes for kicking. If Nixon is gassed after an extremely long drive by the opposing offense, Jaden Reed's going to have to go back there and return kicks. So that's another thing we definitely have to monitor. If Nixon's playing, full-time defense, what's his stamina going to be like also returning punts and kicks? And then finally, Matt Orzech as the long snapper. So that's the Week 1 2023 Green Bay Packers depth chart, and my thoughts on everything it shows here. Nothing too surprising. There are a few twists here and there, but nothing too crazy. So excited for this upcoming game this Sunday against the Bears. I want you guys to go start a Go Pack Go comment train down in the comments below. Let's get this thing rolling right into Week 1. But that about does it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. It supports my channel a ton, but I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, Go Pack Go.